Jets Ward.
ETS Jets. What is going on, Jet fans? And welcome back to another episode of the Jets Ward. I'm your host, Ryan Ward, and I'm so excited to be here with you guys. If you've been here before, welcome back. You know I love having you guys here. It is a great place to be because you guys keep coming back for more. If you are new here, welcome. Whether you're a Jets fan of another NFL team, or just a casual NFL fan, you are always welcome here. It is a safe space for you. Now, guys, going to do something a little different for you guys. The offseason at this point, getting there to closer to training camp. Nothing really is going on. It's a little bit slower right now, so I wanted to do something a little different with you. And I wanted to talk to you guys about the quarterbacks over the years that the New York Jets have had, specifically starting quarterbacks. Now, a little bit about me. I was born in 1994, have been a Jets fan all my life. My dad was a Jets fan. I always loved being there with him, watching these games, watching our Jets get so close some of the times, and other times just rough seasons. So my dad and I bonded over this, and the one thing that him and I would always talk about is how can the Jets never get a quarterback? And so what I wanted to do is rank the quarterbacks all the way from 2000. I'm not going to go back to 1994. I'm going to go to 2000 all the way till now, and rank them from worst to first. And guys, going through this, doing a little research, talking about these guys, remembering these guys from when I was younger, oh man, the Jets have had a lot of terrible quarterbacks. And it's going to be a rough list to go over, but I'll talk to you guys a little bit about these players and some of the things that I remember about them, watching them. So, getting into it, we are going to start with our 25th, our worst quarterback since 2000. And that's going to be none other, in my opinion, than Luke Falk. Oh, man. He was our quarterback in 2019. He wasn't our starter. This was the season that the Jets were really banged up at quarterback. And he started 2 games for us, lost both of them, only threw for 416 yards, had 0 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So one of the biggest things I remember of Luke Falk was the first game that he started against the Eagles. And my gosh, it was awful. He just didn't look like he deserved to be there. He looked like a third-string quarterback, just not deserving to be on the field. And there were a lot of things that went wrong for that Jets team in 2019. Our team was banged up, not a lot of talent. But Luke Falk didn't help himself out here. And it was rough to watch this guy start. He didn't play well at all, struggled. That's the reason why he really didn't last long in this league and only started these 2 games for the New York Jets. But I have to have him as the worst one. And going through these guys, this is my personal list, and you can disagree with me if you want and rank your guys as well. But Luke Falk, to me, was the worst quarterback since 2000 that the Jets have had play and start games for them. So it was rough watching this kid back in 2019, trying just to make something work. It was brutal. But the next one, and I think a lot of Jets fans would agree with this one too, being a guy being this low, Tim Boyle. Oh, man. Another rough one. The Black Friday game against Miami, throwing a Hail Mary right before halftime and it getting picked off by Javon Holland and brought back for a touchdown. That was the epitome of this guy. He just didn't, I don't know how he kept getting onto these teams. He was awful as well. And again, he's still in the league. I don't know what team he's on now, but I know he's still in the league. And he's just a backup. He backed up Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. He was brought over to follow Aaron Rodgers here when he came over. And, oh, man, it was just brutal. And, again, only started 2 games, lost both of them, only threw for 360 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions. And just the biggest thing that I remember from him is that pick six against the Dolphins on the first ever Black Friday game. Just a disaster. And a lot of people think when he was cut to or he was let go that he was a big leak. And a lot of the leaks started to come out after he left. So he was just awful. And I still don't know how he's in the league. He's not a good quarterback. And just did not deserve to start. Rough time watching Tim Boyle. He's my number 24th ranked quarterback on this list. 23, we get to Greg McElroy. Another one had promise coming out of college. I believe he graduated from Alabama. He was starting quarterback for the New York Jets in 2012 for one game. He's 0-1, 214 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Again, just not much to show. He didn't really provide much. His footwork was a disaster. Didn't have the strongest arm either. And just a guy who, after the Jets, never really went anywhere. I believe he went down into college to be an analyst. But other than that, he just never – he had promise coming out of Alabama, but just never showed it in the NFL. Started his one game, didn't look great, and ended up losing that game. Didn't start another game for the New York Jets after that. But out of the three that we've talked about so far, I think he had a better talent than Tim Boyle and Luke Falk. Coming into 22, we get Brady Cook. And I understand it's early on Brady Cook. He is still on the Jets team. He started a couple games last year at the end of the season when Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor were hurt. He started 4 games for us and went 0-4, 739 yards, 2 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. But guys, he's an undrafted quarterback, and he looked like it last year. And I'm putting all the starting quarterbacks on here from 2000, all the ones that I've researched and everything. Brady Cook was bad. He did not look like he belonged out there. I understand the hopefulness for this kid, but there's a reason why we brought Geno Smith in this year, why we drafted Cade Klubnik, why we brought Bailey Zappi in. So Brady Cook doesn't see the field. And no offense to him too, in training or in the practices that we've had in the mini camp, he didn't look good. So it's not looking good for this kid. Can he turn it around? Yes. But right now, he's looking like one of the worst Jets starting quarterbacks that we've seen in history. So it's kind of rough for him right now, but he can turn it around. There's still a lot of talent that the kid has, and hopefully he can turn it around, but I don't think it's going to be with the New York Jets. Now, continuing on. 21, we get big old Bryce Petty. He was a project coming out of college. I believe he was coming out of Baylor. Big arm, was able to maneuver around the pocket. We liked his athleticism and everything. He was with us from 2016 to 2017, had 7 starts, went 1-6. The one game that I remember him playing very, very well, giving the hope for the Jets, was the San Francisco 49ers game when we beat them in San Francisco. Bryce Petty coming down from behind, making some big-time throws, and giving us a little bit of hope that maybe he can turn something around. He has the prototypical size, has the strength, the arm talent, the athletic ability. But, man, he was a major project, and it just did not work out. Ended up getting crushed in the other games and threw for 1,353 yards, 4 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, and just nothing ever really prospered from him. He didn't really go anywhere after the New York Jets and just fizzled out. And he had promise, man. He had, like I said, he had the size, the talent, the arm talent. It just never worked out. I feel like if we gave him a proper quarterback coach and put an offense around him, because the teams that we put around him were not great. If we gave him a little bit more talent, maybe something could have happened. But he had a janky throwing motion, a very long throwing motion, and it just never worked out for Bryce Petty here. That's why I have him as my 21st ranked QB in Jets history since 2000. Then we get Brooks Bollinger. This was a guy I forgot about that the Jets had starting games. I remember him more as a Raven than anything. He was with the Jets from 2003 to 2004, started 9 games, went 2-7, 1,558 yards, 7 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. But just very forgettable as a Jets quarterback. Didn't really do much. Like I said, I didn't even remember him on the Jets teams when I watched growing up watching him. He wasn't somebody that I was excited to see. Another quarterback that I saw too, Patrick Ramsey. I remember him more as a Redskin, but he didn't start any games for the New York Jets, so I don't have him on here. But Brooks Bollinger, just more known as a Raven, and just didn't really have a very good Jets career. Like I said, only won 2 games here. So overall, very, very forgettable with Brooks Bollinger. Then we get into number 19. I got Trevor Siemian. Trevor Siemian, we got him later in his career. We had him back in 2019, then another stint in 2023 when we were having a lot of issues with quarterbacks. Started 4 games for us, went 2-2, 727 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Trevor Siemian showed a lot of promise with Denver, but it never translated into a better big career. Then he went to New Orleans in that time between 2019 to 2023, just never showed anything there. And I was happy that we brought a veteran like him in, but it just never worked out here. He never was able to grasp what he had in Denver and bring it over here. Again, the team that we had wasn't great in those times. So just a rough time for Siemian. And again, have him at my 19th guy here. Then at number 18, I have Justin Fields. This was a quarterback, and I will take full accountability for this one. I wanted Justin Fields coming out of Pittsburgh last year. He was traded from Chicago. They never built a good team around him. And when they finally started giving him receivers and stuff like that, his numbers went up. But then they shipped him off. They drafted Caleb Williams, let him go. And he started out 4-0 for Pittsburgh. But they also had Russell Wilson, who was their starter. They named their starter. But as 4-0, he was benched then. Was showing a lot of promise as a thrower, looked like he was getting better as a passer, really still solid with his running ability, very athletic quarterback. Comes to the Jets, and first game, yeah, we don't win against the Steelers, but he showed flashes of like, heck yeah, that connection with Garrett Wilson on that beautiful deep touchdown. The plays that he was making with his legs, the arm talent was there. So excited. Then the next week, we get destroyed by Buffalo, and he gets hurt. The injuries started to pile up on him. He became gun shy, throwing around the ball, his legs, making mistakes with his legs and stuff like that. And when our owner makes a comment that he can't even hit a receiver in front of him, that's an issue. So I like Justin Fields' talent, and now he's going to Kansas City. We traded him, luckily, shockingly traded him to Kansas City. And in that system, he might be able to work because he's got a genius as an offensive head coach. But I don't know. The talent is there. He's still young. He started 9 games for us, went 2-7, had 1,259 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 1 interception. But again, he just seems so gun-shy after the injuries, and he lost so much confidence. And that's what happens to New York quarterbacks. The fans break them down so much. And I loved Justin Fields. I still think he could have a solid career if he can turn it around. But, man, was I disappointed with the output that he gave here. So, very disappointed. It is 1 season as the Jets quarterback. Rough. Wish him the best in Kansas City. Good luck there. Then, moving on to 17, I got Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, oh, man. This one was a tough one for me. I wanted Justin Fields in this draft. I'll be honest with that. I liked Justin Fields' upside. I just talked to you guys about him. But I also was one of the guys, too, when we had the debate, when Saleh was first hired, should you keep Sam Darnold or should you trade him and draft a quarterback? I was on the Sam Darnold side. I really liked Sam Darnold. I'm still a big fan of his, and I'm glad he's being successful. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. So happy for him. But I wanted the Jets to keep him. And we'll talk about Sam Darnold later in this video. But we ended up taking Zach Wilson. Impressed at BYU. And had a cannon of an arm. Was able to make plays with his legs. And we saw this during the games against Jacksonville. A maneuver around the pocket against Kansas City. The arm talent. It was all there. And in his pro day, that one throw he made across his body on the run. Beautiful. That's what won everybody over. It never translated. The Jets he was our quarterback from 2021 to 2023. 33 starts, 12-21 record, 6,293 yards, 23 touchdowns to 25 interceptions. Was a player who refused to go back into a game, go back into starting games for the New York Jets at one point. So we ended up having to start Tim Boyle. So that's something you didn't like. Was more known off the field rather than stuff he did on the field and everything. Like, the talent was there. And he's now with New Orleans as a backup quarterback there. The talent was there. It's just can never get it together. And again, the quarterback coach, Greg Knapp, God rest his soul, we brought him in to help coach him, and he passes away in a bicycle accident. And then we have to throw all these different things around. And you have a rookie offensive coordinator go with him, with Mike LaFleur, who's the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals now. And it just didn't work. With Robert Saleh as the head coach for a first-time guy, you should have brought in a veteran offensive-minded guy. And I know Greg Knapp was supposed to be that guy. But I don't really feel like they set him up for success. They did get him weapons, and more than what they've done with Sam Darnold. But they basically handed him the job. There was no competition. They said there was competition, but there was no competition for him. And it just fell apart for him. There were flashes, but nothing that gave the Jets fans any confidence. And now he's still in the league. He's with the Saints. Maybe one day he'll get another starting job, but I doubt it. But Zach Wilson, number 17 on this list. Getting into number 16, Kellen Clemens. Oh, man, I remember Kellen Clemens. And not great either. He had a cannon of an arm, and he never knew how to take anything off on it on the short routes, but just pegging it at people on the running backs on short out routes and stuff like that. Just insane. The guy had arm talent. He really did, but he had very bad accuracy. He didn't have any touch for the ball. His footwork was a disaster. He was a quarterback for the Jets from 2016 to 2009, started 9 games, was 4-5, 1,635 yards passing, 5 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. Accuracy was a major concern. He had a lot of athleticism, and the cannon of an arm was the biggest reason why Jets fans were excited about him, but it just never turned into anything. He never developed. He never got any better. And just a complete disaster for the New York Jets. But based on this list so far, you can see why the Jets have had very little success in their history with the quarterbacks that we've been putting out there to start games. It's showing right now. Kellen Clemens being one of them, and it was bad watching him. You never knew what was going to happen with him. Then we get to number 15, and we get to Quincy Carter. And the one thing I remember about Quincy Carter, and he's the first quarterback on this list that has a winning record that we've gotten to. He only started 3 games in 2004 for the New York Jets, 2-1, 498 yards, 3 touchdowns to 1 interception. Not awful, but he was another running quarterback, good arm, made some mistakes every now and again, but I remember him just playing the Arizona Cardinals years ago, watching this guy. And as a backup quarterback, I liked him. I think he would have been solid as a backup, would have wanted to keep him. But as a starter, yeah, he had a winning record, but it was a little rough sometimes watching him. But again, I don't remember too much about him. I remember a game against the Arizona Cardinals and everything. But other than that, very lackluster games with Quincy Carter. So he's a number 15 right now. Then we get into number 14. And you guys might be shocked about this one. I got Ray Lucas on here because in 2000, he started 2 games because all the quarterbacks on the Jets were injured. So Ray Lucas had to come in and start some games, and he was 1-1, 1,123 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. I believe he was a punter. Or not. No, he wasn't our punter. He was coming in and just it was just shocking that he was in there right there. And right now I have him as our number 14 because he was just fun to watch. He was fun to see. My dad really liked this player as well. My dad loved Ray Lucas. And it's just a fun guy to watch. Decent guy too. Slinging the rock down there. Was not afraid to let it rip. So Ray Lucas, fun one to watch here. He's my number 14 guy. Then we get into number 13. And I got Michael Vick, and some of you guys might not remember that Michael Vick was a quarterback of the New York Jets. This was back in 2014. He was the backup to Geno Smith. Or was he backup? Yeah, Geno Smith. Man, that's a long time ago. And started 3 games. He was 1-2, 604 yards, 3 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. And I remember him coming in, beating the Pittsburgh Steelers and giving the Jets fans hopes then. But we all knew that Michael Vick at this point, after leaving the Eagles and everything, was at the end of his career. Ended up going to Pittsburgh after this, after his stint with the Jets for a couple of years as a backup there. But man, when we got him, it was exciting. We were like, oh, heck yeah, we're getting Michael Vick, big name quarterback. This is awesome. This is great. Similar to how we felt when we got Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. That's how I felt. I loved Michael Vick, especially when he coming from the Eagles and the success he had there. I know his last season in Philly wasn't the best. I think he ended up getting benched for Kevin Kolb, but I think there was still a lot of talent there. He was still great with his legs. He was a better passer at this point in his career, but just never amounted to anything. And Michael Vick is on 13th on this list, which is telling you something. For a guy that was only here for a season, better than half the quarterbacks that we've had on this list so far. Crazy. Then we get to number 12. I put Tyrod here. And Tyrod was here from 2024 to 2025. Only started 4 games for the New York Jets, 1-3, 761 yards, 4 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. I loved Tyrod as a backup. When he was with Buffalo, he was a star. He was winning games for them and everything. He showed that he was a franchise quarterback. Then he bounced around for years. The biggest concern with Tyrod was the injuries. That was the biggest issue with him. It always was. And he could never stay healthy. And when he came in to start games for the Jets, like this past year, he was backing up Justin Fields in minicamp, in training camp. He looked better than Justin Fields as the quarterback on the field. And when he came into the game to play, you felt more comfortable. You knew people were going to be where they were supposed to be. He was going to set things up properly. He wasn't afraid to throw it. He didn't have the arm strength that he used to have, but we felt more comfortable that we were going to be able to see functioning offense. And that's why we wanted Tyrod Taylor to stay in for the rest of the year, because we were going to get to see players like A.D. Mitchell and Garrett Wilson until he got hurt and stuff like that. We were going to see all this stuff. Mason Taylor being one of them as well. See what we had in them. Injuries always ruined it for Tyrod Taylor. And I have him as number 12 just because I wish I could see more from him. He's with Green Bay now as a backup quarterback to Jordan Love, which is a great move by them because he's got a very similar playing style to Jordan Love. And honestly, I like Tyrod Taylor. I wish he could have had more success here. And I wish we could have kept him as that veteran presence, or even just been backing up Geno Smith and getting Cade Klubnik ready. That's what I would have liked, but we didn't have it in the cards, which is unfortunate. But he's my number 12 guy on this list for quarterback since 2000 to start for the New York Jets. Then we get to number 11, and I got Mike White. And a lot of people, I think, are going to be happy about Mike White. They're probably going to want him to be higher on this list. The problem with that is, again, similar to Tyrod Taylor, the injuries. He was our quarterback from 2021 to 2022, backed up Zach Wilson. And when Wilson was going through all these issues, Mike White came in and had a fantastic game against the Bengals, who were a very good team at this point, and we ended up beating them. And it was the Mike White game, and everybody started doing the Mike Evan White chants, and everybody was excited. We finally have a quarterback. He's going to give us hope. And started 7 games, went 2-5, had 2,000 yards, 2,145 yards, 8 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Was risky with the ball, turned it over a good amount of times. Matt Milano from the Bills came in and broke his ribs, and I feel like we rushed him back in when going against the Seattle Seahawks, which didn't give us a chance either. He ended up getting dinged up again there. There were comments made by Woody Johnson about this guy, but I liked Mike White, and I think he rallied the team around him too. And he's still out there as a free agent. I wouldn't mind bringing him back, but Mike White just didn't do enough for the New York Jets. He gave us hope, but it was false hope. And sorry for Mike White, but he's number 11 on this list. Then we get into number 10, and I got Joe Flacco. And I understand the record's not going to be as good as Mike White's, but Joe Flacco was much more consistent, and he had a worse team around him. This was Garrett Wilson's rookie year. He was with us 2020 to 2022. And there were games that I really don't believe it was his fault that we lost. Our defenses were awful. Until Saleh was able to turn it around. Flacco actually looked pretty decent. He started 9 games for us. Yes, he went 1-9, but he threw for 2,253 yards, 14 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, protected the ball, was a great veteran guy in that locker room to help out the younger guys. And granted, we didn't win a lot, but again, our teams weren't great. Offensively, especially. We had a young Garrett Wilson and a young Breece Hall, but that was about it. We didn't really have much. And Flacco was and he's still playing. That just gives you guys an idea of how longevity is great with this guy. And yes, he's not the same as he used to be, but that Browns game, when he was able to come back and beat them and really show what we had in Garrett Wilson, that really showed you something and showed that the type of player he was to be able to spread the ball around all this place. Corey Davis getting the passes to him and everything like that. It was fun to watch with Joe Flacco back there. And I would have loved to bring Joe Flacco in as our backup quarterback this year. But again, I digress. He's my number 10 guy on this list. Number 9, we got to Josh McCown. Man, was he fun. He was a great mentor to Sam Darnold as well. Great friendship they had. Starting quarterback 2017 to 2018, started 6 games for us, went 5-11, 3,454 yards passing, 19 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. Journeyman quarterback, but he came in and brought stability to this offense and gave us competent quarterback play, smart quarterback play. Yeah, we didn't win a lot of games, but he actually gave us a functioning offense. Now, if our defense was any better, maybe we would have won some more games. But McCown gave us competency in something of a real-life modern offense. He was able to sling the ball around. Our wide receivers were not good during this time. Our tight ends weren't great. I think we still had Cumberland back during this time. I think we had Austin Seferian-Jenkins as well, who was okay, but only was here for a season. He was competent. And he was older, but a great mentor to Sam Darnold as well. And they built a friendship as well there. And it brought Sam Darnold, it helped him turn into a better quarterback as well. So Josh McCown, I have him as my number 9 starting quarterback for the New York Jets since 2000 on this list. Then we get into number 8. I have Geno Smith. And I know Geno Smith is back, and things can change depending on how he does this year. But he was our starting quarterback from 2013 to 2014, got punched in the face and knocked out for the 2015 season, and then came back in 2016. Second-round draft pick out of West Virginia. Started 30 games for the New York Jets. That's going to go up this season. But he had a 12-18 record, 5,962 yards passing, 28 touchdowns to 36 interceptions. He was young. He was raw. And when he came in, Rex Ryan honestly broke this team down. They ruined the offensive weapons, bringing in an old wash Derek Mason to replace a Jericho Cotchery, doing all this stuff. Braylon Edwards gone at this point. You had Santonio Holmes, who didn't even want to be here at this point. Rough times for a young quarterback who was a project coming in and trying to be our future. And turned out to have a really solid career, going from the Giants as a backup to the Seahawks as a backup to their starter to the Raiders last year, which was rough. And now back with the Jets, a coming home story, which is awesome to hear. And I hope he can turn this thing around and actually get the Jets to competency. But when he was here, he was young. He made a ton of mistakes, and he didn't have the best coaching. But he did look solid. The games against Miami, the games against the Atlanta Falcons where he came back and won. He had some really good games, but there were also some dog water ones. He never competed really well against the Patriots, struggled mightily against them and Bill Belichick. So there were times where he looked lost as well, and that's understandable when you have no weapons. And they never built an offense around him that was really successful. Maybe that can change now with our offense looking the way it is with him now, and a more mature Geno Smith too. So right now I have him at number 8, but depending on how this season goes, this could change, especially if he wins. Next, we get to number 7. I have Sam Darnold. What could have been. Starting quarterback from 2018 to 2020. Gosh, I'm so happy for this kid to win a Super Bowl. I really am. It sucks that it's not with us. It sucks that he couldn't turn this thing around. But it also sucks that we never put anything around him. When Robbie Anderson or Robbie Chosen is your number 1 receiver, that's a problem. He's a number 3 or 4 on any other teams during this time. You never gave him any weapons. The offensive lines were always awful. Just getting hit with mono the one year and just the disasters, the hits, the injuries, the problems, the coaches we had him with. Adam Gase ruined this kid. God. What could have been. I really feel like if Sam Darnold, if we kept him here, maybe things could have turned around. I think he would have run the LaFleur offense very, very well. But it's a what could have been story with him. He had started 38 games for the New York Jets, went 13-25, 8,097 yards passing, 45 touchdowns to 39 interceptions. The thing that a lot of people are going to remember with him is the ghosts, seeing ghosts against the Patriots. It sucks. I'm happy for the kid. He's never said one bad thing about the New York Jets, which is great as well. But it sucks that he couldn't have won here. I still root for the kid. I really like him. And hopefully the Jets can find a quarterback that we can turn around and get to that promised land. I'm really hoping. But happy for Sam Darnold. He's number 7 on my list. For number 6, I've got Aaron Rodgers. And you might think, why the heck do you have Aaron Rodgers? Well, he had some of the best numbers here. Even in his 1 full year starting, he had some of the better numbers. He was our quarterback from 2023 to 2024. I don't really count 2023 because 4 plays in, he tore his Achilles and was knocked out the whole season. He only started 18 games for the New York Jets in his time here. He wanted to come here. He gave Jets fans hopes of a Super Bowl aspirations, and we brought his guys in, Allen Lazard. We brought all these people in for him, Allen Lazard being the biggest one. And it just didn't work. Ended up getting Saleh fired. Ends up not clicking with Aaron Glenn, and the thing coming out that said that they didn't want to be here. He didn't want to be here, and the issues he had. Ended up having a 5-13 record with the New York Jets. Went through for 3,956 yards, 28 touchdowns to 15 interceptions. Good numbers. Just there were times where we had players running the wrong routes. He called some players out for that. Him and Garrett Wilson never really clicked either. Was able to get Devontae Adams here, but even that didn't help. And it just was a rough time with Aaron Rodgers. And then we had to worry, is he coming back? Is he going on his darkness retreat? Now he's the starting quarterback of Pittsburgh and brought them to the playoffs last year. Didn't go that far. In fact, they lost in the first round, but turned it around with them. He's back with Mike McCarthy with Pittsburgh as well. He said this is going to be his last year. With the New York Jets, so much excitement, so much hope, just to be ripped down and torn down. But again, the numbers weren't bad. In his 1 year starting, his 1 full year of starting, the numbers weren't bad. There were just other mistakes. The defense wasn't great. We had a lot of issues. So that was a big issue here. A lot of people quit on this team. DJ Reed, Sauce Gardner, I would say, quit during that time. A lot of players quit. And Aaron Rodgers ends up going into Pittsburgh and winning games for them. But he's number 6 on my list. Now we get into the top 5. And I'm going to say top 5, Brett Favre is my 5th favorite quarterback and one that I think was best for the New York Jets. In his 1 year here, he started in 2008. We had Eric Mangini, and Eric Mangini chose Favre over Chad Pennington, which I think was a mistake as well. But anyway, Brett Favre comes in after retiring from Green Bay, then unretiring and getting traded here. He started 16 games, all 16 games, and he started off like a bat out of hell. I think we started off 7-2. And then all of a sudden, he gets injured. And I believe he got injured in Seattle. and the Sean Ellis revenge game. And after that, it just went to hell. He's 9-7 record, a winning record with us, 3,472 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 22 interceptions. And the last game of the season, the one to get us into the playoffs, we lose to Chad Pennington and the Miami Dolphins. And I will never forget that because it sucked seeing a guy that we gave up on, who was our franchise quarterback for years and was successful with us. It was just injuries that really ruined him. Come back into our stadium and knock us out of the playoffs. Because I think if Brett Favre was healthy, fully healthy, with that defense that we had that year and the offense that we had, I think we could have made a run in the playoffs because I think Favre was getting healthier. He had something wrong with his shoulder. But if he turned it around and we got to the playoffs, I think the Jets could have made a run. But alas, Pennington ruined that for us. And Brett Favre remains number 5 on the list. He retires after that year and ends up going to Minnesota and looking even better for Minnesota than he did with the Jets and getting them to the playoffs. But I digress. Brett Favre, number 5 on this list. Getting into number 4, I got Ryan Fitzpatrick. The 1 year Fitzpatrick starting was a blast. Man, I loved the 2015 season. Geno Smith ends up getting injured. Fitzpatrick steps in. We had Brandon Marshall. We had Eric Decker. We had all of these things going for us right here. We had a running back. Who was it? Oh, it was the guy from the Saints. Oh, Chris Ivory. We had Ivory as our running back. We had all of these weapons and an offensive line that was solid and a defense that was physical and aggressive under Todd Bowles. And it just didn't work. Well, no. 2015 was a great year. The game against the Patriots, week before the last week of the season, game against the Patriots, coming back and winning in overtime, getting everybody hyped. Fitzpatrick, physical, aggressive, excited, brought excitement to this team. The team was damn good this year. But couldn't get us to the playoffs because of Buffalo, who was not a good team at this time. Ends up knocking us out of the playoff race in the final week of the season. We just needed to win, and we were in, and he couldn't do it. Looked really bad in that game, actually. I believe he threw 2 interceptions, and it just didn't look good. He started 27 games for the New York Jets in his time, 13-14 record, 6,615 yards, 43 touchdowns to 32 interceptions. That 1 year with Fitzpatrick was great, and it got Jets fans excited for the following year because we could build through the draft, we could bring in some free agents, fix some things, and it just didn't work. He didn't look good the next season, and it was a rough time for Fitzpatrick after that. And we gave him a contract extension, and he turned back into the Fitzpatrick that we all know and love, where he gets his contract and struggles. He did the same thing with Miami when he went over to Miami. He did the same thing with Buffalo when he was in Buffalo. So, struggle for Fitzpatrick. Gave us a great 2015 season. Unfortunately, didn't make the playoffs, but it was fun to watch. 2016, on the other hand, not great. But he's my number 4 quarterback. Number 3, I have Mark Sanchez. I don't care about the off-the-field issues right now. I'm not going to talk about that. Mark Sanchez, when he came into this team, 2009, rookie out of USC, coming out early, to 2012, started 62 games. The first 2 years of Sanchez were awesome. 2 AFC championship games, getting us there, and then fall into the Colts, fall into the Steelers. The closest in my history, in my lifetime, I believe, I'd have to go back in history, closest in my lifetime the Jets have ever gotten to a Super Bowl twice. Just never got that, could never get over that hump. And I really think if we beat Pittsburgh, we would have beat Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. I think our defense was a lot more physical and a lot better matchup for that Green Bay team than the Steelers were. But he had 62 starts, 33-29 record, 12,092 yards passing, 68 touchdowns to 69 interceptions. After the 2009 and 2010 season, the turnovers for Sanchez started to pile up. Injury concerns started to come about and got replaced by Geno. And it just didn't work out. He ends up going to the Eagles at one point, the Cowboys at one point. I believe he was on the Redskins at another point, and became an analyst after, and now all the stuff going on too now. But Sanchez, in our history, I think was one of the best quarterbacks we've had in our history, especially those first 2 years, and one of our better playoff quarterbacks. So, and got us closest to the Super Bowl as well. So, in my lifetime, Mark Sanchez definitely on here as number 3. Bringing in the number 2 quarterback, I got Vinny Testaverde. Now, I don't remember much of Vinny Testaverde. I know he was our starting quarterback from 2000 to 2003 and came back in 2005 to back up Chad Pennington when he got hurt, and he wasn't the same guy as he was in 2000 through 2003. He was the guy who gave Jets fans their hope of Super Bowl as well, and they got crushed with an injury, and it was rough to see that as well. Started 61 games for us, 35-26 record, 12,421 yards, 77 touchdowns to 58 interceptions. Fun guy to watch. Really good quarterback in his career. Very underrated guy as well. I think a lot of Jets fans, older Jets fans, would go back and say, who was your favorite quarterback watching growing up, or like watching when you got the chance to watch? I think Vinny Testaverde would be a lot of their favorite ones, and he'd be a number one on a lot of these people's lists. But I have Vinny Testaverde as my number 2 because my number 1 quarterback, and I've mentioned him a couple of times, is Chad Pennington. This guy, if he didn't deal with the shoulder injuries, I think he was our ticket to a Super Bowl. I really do. He had so much talent coming out of Marshall. Cannon of an arm. The intellect as a quarterback, going through his reads, the quick release, the accuracy he had. He wasn't the most athletic quarterback, but the accuracy he had to get the ball exactly where he wanted it was insane. And as a thrower of the football, he wasn't bad. His arm talent after the shoulder injuries weren't there. He struggled to get it downfield. But even after the injuries, he was solid. The accuracy was still there, and he could still go through his progressions and make plays and get the Jets to the playoffs. He was our starting quarterback from 2002 to 2007. Started 61 games, 32-29 record, 13,738 yards passing, 82 touchdowns to 55 interceptions. Pennington is my number 1 on this list. He was my favorite quarterback growing up. He's still my favorite quarterback the Jets have ever had. I loved watching Chad Pennington. I've been on record on my channel saying that I would love Chad Pennington to come back as our quarterbacks coach at some point. Just have him back with the team because of how smart he is and how he knows the quarterback position, how he can help these young guys. I would love to have Chad Pennington back with this team in some way, shape, or form. But in all my history of watching the Jets, Pennington will always be my favorite quarterback watching. He's my number 1 on this list. I loved him growing up. I had a Pennington jersey that I would wear every Sunday. I'd root for him. It killed me when he got injured during those times, during those seasons. But when he was on the field, the Jets had a chance to win every single game, especially when we had Curtis Martin back there as our running back. That duo was awesome. And BJ Askew as our fullback. We had a fun team back then. Lavernius Coles as a wide receiver. Santana Moss as another receiver. The offensive lines we had. Kevin Mawai leading the charge there. That's my Jets team. That's the one I grew up loving and watching. And what got me to be a Jets fan. These guys. Because yes, I was born in 94. Loved the Jets. My dad got me into them a lot. But Pennington was the quarterback, and this Jets team that he had around him that really made me fall in love with the New York Jets. And what still makes me love them to this day. So Pennington is my number 1 quarterback since 2000, and probably of all Jets quarterbacks in history. I know we have Namath and he got us our only Super Bowl. I get it. He'd be high on this list too. But Pennington is my number one quarterback. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about your quarterbacks. Now, I did mine since 2000. If you want to rank all the Jets quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks since in history, go right ahead. I'd love to hear who you guys think or who your quarterback is for the New York Jets, who your favorite one is. Which quarterback got you to love the New York Jets? How did you become a Jets fan? I'd love to hear that too. I'd love to hear your stories. But other than that, guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for any notifications of when I post videos, just so you stay updated on what's going on in the Jets world. And follow me on X, Instagram, and on TikTok just to see me on other platforms. But other than that, guys, you know I love you. I appreciate the heck out of you guys, and I thank you so much for joining me in the JETS Jets Ward. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
The Jets Ward.